So this past week, Glay and I did a 6-month follow-up call with a client we started with, guess what, 6 months ago. And she did this 90-day distance personal breakthrough coaching program. It's our flagship program, the thing that most of our clients do with us. And we're in a relationship with them for 90 days, not because it takes 90 days to clear all the hair pulling up, but because, and clients usually get it cleared up pretty quickly, but it's nice to have 3 months of hand-holding and support and guidance to help instill a sense of security and confidence in what they can do when the program is concluded. So with all of our clients, we reach out to them at the 6-month point and the 12-month point, and we ask them for a meeting just to make sure everything's going fine. And when I called, this girl is 13 years old, and her mother got on the phone. She said, "You know what, I'm so glad you called. There's this terrible thing going on. We need you right now. Can we set up this meeting as soon as possible?" And I found myself thinking, wow, what could be wrong? I mean, is it possible she went back to pulling? I mean, I guess anything is possible. Anyway, so the day came, we had the meeting, and guess what? The problem wasn't that she'd gone back to pulling. In fact, she'd been pull-free since very early in our program together, and she continued to do great. But the problem was she couldn't help worrying about the possibility that somehow, some way, it might all fall apart. That it might somehow, some way, it just would stop working. She'd lose control. Something like that would happen, and that was monopolizing all of her time and energy. It was incredibly stressful for her. It was therefore incredibly stressful for her parents, and it was just making life really, really difficult. So it was a good thing that we called when we did. Now, what do you do about a situation like this? What do you do about a constant cycle of worry? Well, we're going to talk about that right now. So, first of all, what's the problem with worrying so much? What's the problem with that? Well, we know what the problem was for this young lady, but let's talk about this. See, here's the thing. First of all, wherever we place the focus of our mind on a habitual basis, your brain thinks you're asking for more of that. So whatever you think about regularly, wherever you find yourself thinking about or worrying about, or maybe even looking forward to, it could be anything. But whatever you focus on habitually, your brain thinks you're asking for more of that, and the processes inside your brain are going to sort of turn things on in such a way that you bring more of that into your life, okay? So when it comes to worry, certainly whatever it is you're worried about, unfortunately, that's what's most likely to show up. So that's one really great reason why this has to stop. You got to find some way to turn off the worry and turn on something else. Now, when it comes to trichotillomania, there's another problem. You see, look, the more you worry about, for example, the pulling coming back, the more stressed out you're going to feel. We all know what happens when too much stress comes into the life of someone who's been pulling or has had a problem with that. Well, the more stress there is, typically the more tempted we are to pull. The more tempted we are to pull, but we really don't want to, the more we worry we might, or the more we worry it might all fall apart and lose control, we might start doing it again. And the more we worry, the more stress. The more stress, the more temptation to pull. The more temptation to pull, the more worry that we might. And you can see what kind of a cycle this is, okay? Glay and I like to call it the worry wheel. So how do you get off the worry wheel? That's what's coming up next. So what do you do about this constant cycle of worry? How do you turn this off and instead turn on something else totally different, something that might work out a lot better for you? Well, it probably depends on the kind of worry that you're doing. There's one kind of worry, we get calls for this sometimes, kind of worry that, about fears of something that's probably pretty unrealistic. Like fear walking down the street and you get hit by a meteor, or walking down the street and tripping on a crack and breaking your arm. Those things, of course, could happen, but the probability of those things happening is very, very small. And so there's something we do with clients who come in and they have that kind of a problem. But what about a worry about something that, could happen? I mean, a client could at any point reach up and pull their hair out. You could do it, I could do it, anybody could do it. Have 2 hands and some hair. What do you do about a situation like that? Or in fact, worrying about anything that, especially too much, okay? Well, look, the first thing we need to think about is you need to be willing to pay special attention, especially if you're one of those people who worry a lot all the time. So maybe you're in the habit of doing it so much you don't even realize you've been doing it till the end of the day and you're exhausted. But when this is a problem, you need to be willing to pay special attention to where and when you might be doing this. Maybe as you're watching this video, if this is your problem, maybe you can kind of think to those times and places where you're most likely to do this. You may or may not do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Most people don't, but maybe there are times when you're most likely to do it. So think ahead, plan ahead. When you find yourself in one of those situations and you're in the middle of it, the first thing you need to do is break your state, break your pattern. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can jump up and down for 15 seconds. You can blink your eyes real fast a bunch of times. You can get up and go to the bathroom. You can go outside and smell the roses. Anything that you can do that takes your focus off of what was so painful or stressful to be thinking about, anything that switches your focus, causes your focus to be switched, is good, okay? The next thing you have to do is ask yourself, look, if that situation or problem couldn't happen in a million years, somehow, some way it just couldn't even happen. And then instead the only possibility was something great could happen, like the opposite of your feared outcome, in fact the best possible outcome, what would that be? And you want to take a few moments to really think about that in some detail. What would be there? What would your world look and sound and feel like? How would you be feeling? How would you be interacting with whatever's in your environment? Are other people there? Look, if it's a hair pulling situation, you're afraid you might go back to that, or you're afraid you might have to keep this problem forever. Ask yourself, look, if 3 months from now, 6 months from now, somehow, some way you could find a way to stop pulling. A year from now, what would your hair look like then? If you're pulling the hair on your head, what would the hair on your head look like then if you'd stopped pulling for a year, 2 years, 3 years? If pulling your eyebrows or eyelashes were a problem for you, what would it be like to have a full set of lush, wonderfully coiffed eyebrows and eyelashes? What would that look like? And if you had them, what would that feel like? See, that's the other important part of it. I want you to create a vivid, sensory-rich imagination of what it would be like to be in the midst of your outcome, your desired outcome, your dreamed outcome fulfilled. You with all of your hair, maybe with all of your friends around admiring you or telling you how great you look. And how would you feel if that were happening? Would you feel totally confident? Would you feel really good about yourself? Would you feel really excited and really happy? See, it's one thing to create this vivid, sensory-rich imagination of what you want instead, sitting on Santa's lap. Dream big, shoot for the stars. But it's another thing, should you find yourself in the midst of it, how would you be feeling then? You want to couple this vivid, sensory-rich imagination with the wonderful feelings you'd be feeling inside if, in fact, you were in the middle of that. You want to really feel the victory, okay? Do this 2 or 3 times a day, spend 2, 3, 5 minutes at a time. Gee, if you want to do it 10 minutes at a time, we can't stop you. But the first thing is, look, if you were doing that instead, if that's where you're placing the focus of your mind, how much better do you think you'd be feeling during the course of any given day? How much better would you be feeling if instead of worrying so much, you were just creating these wonderfully exciting imaginations? What would happen to each day? How much better would you feel? How much better would each day go? Right? And so spend some time doing this each day and notice what comes out of that. Spend a week, 2 weeks doing this exercise and let us know what happens for you, okay? I'd actually like to hear from you about how things have changed for the better. If you're watching this video at our Facebook page, feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, start a discussion. If you're watching this video at our blog site, we also have a comment section over there. Feel free to contribute. If you're watching this at our YouTube channel, feel free to like us and share us. Same thing on Facebook and on our blog if you would. Let other people know about it. Let us know what doing this exercise has done for you. And you know what? Even if you're not caught in a pattern of worrying about it all the time, still do this. Still do this exercise. Spend some time investing some energy into focusing on what you want in your world, and don't be too shocked and surprised to find it showing up in your life. I'm Robert Mantell with the Trichotillomania Relief Specialist. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you're watching the video every time we come out with a new one. Every few weeks we produce a new one. We get it up at YouTube, and if you're on our mailing list, we'll actually notify you that this new video is available for you. If you have any questions for us, if you want to talk to us directly, you can feel free to get us at our website at www.trick-free.com, and you can call us at our 24-hour toll-free voicemail messaging number. That's 866-LIFE-NOW, And then I'm going to make it easy for you instead of poking around looking for the numbers. 866-543-3669. Thanks again for watching. Here's wishing you an amazing trick-free week.